Welcome to the Research Works podcast, brought to you in association with the Healthy Strides Foundation. Your hosts are Dr. Dinah
and Dr. Ashley Thornton, and we're here at the AusACPDM conference in Cairns, Australia, to interview world-leading researchers, clinicians, and people with lived experience
to support your practice in being more evidence-based.
Welcome back to the Research Works podcast. We are joined at the desk here at AusACPDM by Professor Alicia Spittle. Welcome, Alicia.
Welcome.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
You are joining us in your capacity, well, you're wearing a few hats. You are one of the co-chairs of the conference, co-convener.
Yep. Well, both. I'm co-president of the Oration Academy and then co-chair of the conference.
Yes. And also the Dinah Reddihough orator, so that's quite a prestigious invited keynote at the conference, so congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
It's amazing. And look, we spoke with you not too long ago, where we spoke quite extensively about your Cochrane review, absolutely incredible piece of work, but we thought today, talking about your keynote, and I suppose the story I think I've shared a little bit is how inspirational you've been to people like me. I remember seeing you in 2008 at the Oz Academy in Brisbane. I was a young physio, just not sure what my career would look like, or didn't even know what was possible. And then seeing you stand up there to talk through the work that you had done, I was like, oh my gosh, you can do this? What an amazing profession. And so we thought we'd talk about the journey that you've been on, because it's definitely inspired me, and that's, I'm here. So thank you, Alicia.
Oh, thank you. And I talked about, as you said, I had the privilege of giving the Dinah Reddihough Oration, and I actually, I asked Dinah just to talk a little bit about her contribution to the Oz Academy, because a lot of people might not know. So Dinah Reddihough is a paediatrician from the Royal Children's Hospital, and she was actually the founder of the Australasian Academy. And
amazing.
I just wanted to reflect on how what impact one person can make.
Yeah.
But one person then reaching out and working with others, and she's done an amazing job to go from first having a satellite meeting at the Royal Children's Hospital to now we're in Cairns with almost 500 people in person, another 150 online, and just thinking about how you can take one step, but then how things can snowball as well. And so then reflecting on my career, because my first conference presentation was actually at an Australasian Academy meeting, and it was one of the very early ones. And at the time, my head of department, Anne McCoy, who helped Dinah actually set up the Oz Academy, she's like, you need to present your master's research. And I was like, I don't want to present, I'm not good enough. So just put something in, I'll help you. And I actually did which a lot of people wouldn't know, I did my master's on Duchenne's muscular dystrophy and fractures, so completely different area. And I presented at that conference, and I just really enjoyed understanding an area in more depth.
Yes.
And I was just so inspired by all these other people who knew so much, and it made me go, I want to know, I want to be good at a particular thing. And just, I guess, being knowledgeable in a niche sort of area, because you can't, some people do know everything, or people who, like yourselves, who do work in more general areas, you do have to know lots of stuff. But for me, I thought I want to work in a really specific area, and I had an interest in working with infants who are born preterm, so I actually changed direction, as I said, very much. And when I first started wanting to work, and I did talk a little bit about this, I think, with the Cochrane review, but when I wanted to work in early intervention in an neonatal unit, I had to show there was evidence.
Yes.
And so then that sort of took me on that PhD journey.
And what a journey it's been already. I mean, just to make a bit of a comment, I've been to quite a few presentations along the way, and I see your name on a lot of the presentations, and in that real sort of senior authorship level. So it means that you are mentoring and supervising and supporting this whole generation of researchers and clinicians now. Talk to us a little bit about that and what that's been like for you.
Yeah, that's been the proudest moment at this conference, is seeing our team present, and they're so good, and I'm so proud of the research that they've done, but that things are growing, and it's not about me at all, as you say, it's helping support that research, but there's so much flourishing.
Yeah.
But last night I was really fortunate to go to one of the early career researcher sessions, and both myself and Roz spoke at that, and it was hosted by Rachel Tooby, Linda McNamara and Sarah Reedman. And I reflected on later, and I should have mentioned at the time, because when we think so often as supervisor, so Ros Boyd was my PhD supervisor, and I was actually her first student.
Yeah.
So sometimes we talk about it like being like a child, like she was my PhD mum.
Yeah.
And then I was Rachel Tooby's supervisor, and so Ros Boyd, I was saying this to Rachel, like, you're actually Ros Boyd's grandchild because of this link. But it really made me reflect on that importance of mentoring and helping that next generation come through. And I was really lucky, and that's why I'm really grateful to the Oz Academy of having a lot of doors being opened for me.
Yeah.
And I think when we have those doors open, it's making the most of those opportunities. So, like, Ros was really good with me, helping me. Sometimes it seemed like she was pushing me, but it was a good thing. She helped me with writing grants. And also introducing me to other people and saying, why don't you present at this? And then you present and you're like, I really enjoyed that, and I learned how to stand on my own 2 feet. And now I'm in a situation in my career where I've got these skills, and then I can help the next generation coming through. But the good thing about it is they're becoming specialists in their own area. So throughout this conference, I won't name all of our team because I'll forget someone, but I'm really proud because they're much better at than me. The co-design work that we're doing, the qualitative work that we're doing, and that there's so much that needs to be done, so that it's not about me, it's about different people developing their own niche areas and then contributing to the research.
I'm so glad you brought up co-design, because I feel like that's something that's come through really strongly.
It has.
You know, obviously for your team, but across the conference as a whole, we're hearing so much more about co-design, and we know, that's so critical if we want to actually implement what we find from a research perspective.
And that's what I said during my talk too, is like, I look back at the change that's happened in the 16 years it has been since I presented my PhD, but that time that it takes to go from knowledge or fundamental basic science into actually clinical practice. And I hope that people can reflect, what's the next 16 years going to look like? But for me, I think we'll look back and go, remember the time researchers used to make up research questions or have a research project and didn't actually involve consumers or people with lived experience? Like, I think it will seem absurd, particularly in our field. And I think it'll be one of those things where we look back and just go, I can't believe that we used to do that. And we're already heading in that direction. As you say, for things to be implementable. And that's what I've learned throughout my career, because when I did do my PhD, we did a randomised controlled trial of a home-based intervention, and it was effective at improving parental well-being and the child's behaviour, but it wasn't implemented because we didn't have the resources to have a psychologist and a physiotherapist going to people's houses. And so we need to think about co-designing interventions that are going to be not only feasible from a financial aspect, but feasible for families to implement as well.
It's that sustainability part that has also come through so clearly, because we don't want to do research for research's sake.
Exactly.
A lot of resource that is then wasted in the end. So co-design is an important part of it, but it's also just trying to think beyond where the research is headed. Like, what problem are we actually solving?
Absolutely.
And can we actually put this into practice? Because otherwise it's just a darn shame to go, oh, that's a great outcome, but what's the point?
And that's where I think even with thinking about what's our research question, is it actually meaningful to the people who it's going to have an influence on, rather than, of course we can study anything and we might find an effect in a study or find a correlation between this and that, but so what? And that's sometimes we can get so stuck in our own fields and in our own areas that we need to have that broader perspective, and I think that will be the thing that really changes into the future.
Do you think the role of, you just mentioned some of your students or some of the people on your team as well doing qualitative research. We love qualitative research, and we've seen that on the rise lately. Do you think there's a role there in the qualitative research and the implementation, that sort of knowledge translation component?
Yeah, and I think I've seen a big change I work a lot in neonatology, which is very medical heavy, and they're very big on the RCTs with the outcome of this or that, but they are actually now, and particularly in those higher impact journals, getting more and more interested in the qualitative side of things. So it's really on the rise to really understand not just the group differences,
Yes.
but why we're making these differences.
Yeah.
So absolutely.
Yeah. And I think, we talked about co-design, we talked about the role of qualitative work in understanding experiences and perspectives. I think the other thing that I'm finding more of a shift towards is, we find this information out from an RCT. Is that necessarily how we would run it in a clinical practice? How do we make this feasible? How do we make it sustainable? Because I feel like that sustainability piece is still, being done to a certain extent, but I think, there's a lot of really great ideas that fall down because there's not a plan for sustainability.
Absolutely. And so we have to go back when we look at different research study design. You can go to like a phase 3 RCT, like a big RCT, but we actually need to go back to do the feasibility trials to see, can therapists implement this intervention? Can families implement it? Or do they even like it, even if they can implement it? Then go, okay, it's feasible. Then test it, not test something that was never feasible in the first place. So I think we're going to, it's research waste. So I think we're more putting value as well on those smaller feasibility studies, whereas in the past, like, no, you have to do a big RCT. It's like, let's just find out it's feasible first, rather than showing on no difference. Well, what a waste, because it wasn't feasible in the first place, or it didn't make sense in the first place.
What advice is it that, you have these amazing PhD students who I see now going on to be postdocs? What advice do you feel like you give the most to all of them? Like, I
think it's about supporting each other, and I did talk about this in the Oration. It's about collaboration, so it's not that we're competing against each other to find the answer. It's about actually, if we work together, we're going to be stronger. So it's not, we always very much work together. We share our knowledge, we share our experiences. We share slides between different, when we're doing presentations, because it's not about, that's my work, it's about our work and getting the message across. So we're much stronger together, as opposed to trying to really focus on yourself as an individual.
I feel like that's a really important component of knowledge translation as well. If there's things that, as a team you learn through your work, it's almost, incumbent on you to then share that knowledge and that information with other teams, so that they're not starting back at the beginning and trying to reinvent the wheel and going through all that effort when we kind of already have an answer that maybe just needs to be adapted to a local context or something like that.
And that's the beauty of conferences like this, isn't it, too? Because you can see people who are doing similar work, and I hope that they're going, that person's, but rather than going, I own that area, they're like, let's join forces. And there's such a vibe, and that's why there's such a buzz at this conference, because people are like, that was really interesting, and rather going, yes, no, I'm keeping that to myself. It's this is my experience. And particularly, highlight for me of the conference has been, or one of the highlights is the low and middle income research and the different implementation that's going on there, and some of the common themes. But again, because of limited resources, they know how to collaborate, because you don't have the resources to reinvent the wheel, and they just want to focus on, let's get stuff happening. And so the collaboration and the creativity and innovation is just phenomenal, and that's been really exciting to see.
And actually to see how far they've come as well. Like
it's such a short or relatively short amount of time.
So there's actually so much to learn there and to be inspired by. And I think the way that you said it is beautiful. I just keep being reminded by, if you're a generous person, that being that you want to work together as a team, your world actually opens up. It's very fuller. But if you do hold on to it, because you're so protective, you don't actually want to collaborate. So your world just gets smaller and smaller, you're isolated, and therefore your impact, which is what we're hoping for, becomes much more limited as well.
And I've been really fortunate in my career to have a lot of people open the doors for me, and I really strongly believe in paying it forward. And if we all work like that, it's going to be a better world, right, than as you say, this insular world.
That's right. That was great. Alicia, I can't begin to thank you for the opportunity for us to speak with you today, to be part of this conference in such a meaningful way. We've really been quite woven into the conference, and that has just fostered so much collaboration as well. So even just the partnership here and bringing ResearchWorks on, we're really grateful.
Well, absolutely, because we know, a big thank you to ResearchWorks, because we know we're not the best at science communication, and you're really opening the doors again for so many of us, and it's been great. I've noticed that you've been interviewing researchers across that research continuum as well. So you've got the PhD students, the early postdocs, the senior researchers, and you're valuing everyone's voice, but they really value the opportunity to speak to you and to spread the knowledge that we're sharing within the conference, but sharing it to that wider audience. So a big thank you to ResearchWorks as well for being part of our conference, and a big shout out for your award today too, because if we don't communicate our research, it still stays within ourselves, right? So a big thank you to ResearchWorks.
Well, we're really grateful to have the opportunity. It's a privilege to help share everyone's work.
Small part in lots of moving cogs.
That's right. Well, thank you so much again for being on the podcast another time this year, which is brilliant. Which means we'll come in after you again, because we know that you've got more work coming, and your whole team as well. So we'll definitely do so. And to all of our listeners, my goodness, I've been listening to this episode many times to be thinking about what we can do as clinicians and researchers to support each other and close that gap between knowledge and practice.
For sure. But for now, a huge congratulations, Alicia, on an amazing conference and a wonderful Dinah Reddihough Oration. Congrats again. It's been so much fun being in Cairns and being around all these inspiring people. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks to everyone. Talk to you again really soon. Bye.